Hi. Okay. Hi, everybody. Um, it is 7:04 in the evening on Tuesday, April 8th, and you are attending the Multnomah Neighborhood Association April General Meeting. Thank you for being here. We currently have, let's see here. We have 6 people in person, and we have, I've got to see, 15 people online. So we shall get started. Let's get started here, folks. Those of you on Zoom and those of you in person, you should be able to see the agenda as I have it here for our meeting. We've got a tight schedule today. We've got a lot to go over. We're getting into our busy season, folks. And so I do want to I'll wait till the meeting procedures before I pontificate. First up, let's go into the agenda, the review of this month's agenda and the previous minutes. Are there any changes that need to be made that I need to make to tonight's agenda or to the previous meeting minutes?
Yeah, Moses, some of the meeting minutes from the last couple of months seem to have some inaccuracies, so I would.
All right, Julie's ears are perked up here. Our secretary's ears are perked up now. Do you happen to know what they are and we can point them out to her real quick?
Yeah, the minutes from February seem to be missing our discussion on the when we were talking about amending the bylaws to include the employees of businesses. We had a big long discussion about that, and a lot of that seems to be missing from it. And then last month, I know we had some discussions too about some processes and discussions within the committee reports. People having comments. I think there was comments from like Stefan and Beth about their meetings with the transportation, and they just seem to be not in there. I don't know if we could like just defer them again until next month, if everyone's okay with that, or.
We're okay with that. We'll make sure that our secretary makes those revisions to those meeting minutes to add those points that were just pointed out. Thank you very much, Diane. Review of meeting procedures. In an attempt to try to use our time as wisely and as efficiently as possible, we've been taking steps to make sure that all the committee chairs submit reports ahead of time for the review of the folks, for folks to review, so that we don't have to go into full detail when the committees make their reports during the meeting. So what I would ask is that we defer to the reports for the full details, but use the committee report time to highlight, basically take 3 to 5 minutes to summarize your biggest need or your biggest outcome that you want to report on, and to use the report itself, the submitted report, for the detail. So I would ask that all the committee chairs try to keep it between 3 to 5 minutes for their report, and we'll be able to get all through this as quickly as possible. So thank you for that. And just as a sense of efficiency, if there's items that we need to go into more detail about that you think of prior to the meeting, the next meeting, 2 meetings, let me know, and then I can allot more time for them under announcements or under a different section of the meeting. Like, for instance, our first part of our meeting, you'll notice on the agenda there, I've called out a couple of internal things that we have done. And then I have an announcement section that starts at 7:35 tonight. Those are 2 locations where we can go into more detail about specific committee going-ons that may need to be called out. So what I'm trying to say is I'm hoping that we can use the committee reports time more efficiently. And if there's something that needs to be highlighted, we can either do it in the announcements or at this point in the meetings from here on out, just for efficiency of time. So with that having been said, let's go to item number 3, and that is the M&A board. All board members and officers, we are having our work session next Tuesday night, April 15th, here at the church at Rivers Gate. Ideally, we're doing this in person. These work sessions, I don't like doing the work sessions via Zoom. So just because, well, work sessions are work sessions, and we need to do those face to face. I'd like to think that we do those face to face. So if at all possible, yeah, go ahead, Peter. I see your hand up.
Oh, I was going to say I have 3 topics for next Tuesday's work session. I don't delude myself into thinking that we'll be able to get through all of them, but one is continuing the discussion about how to make our monthly meetings go more smoothly. And as I told you at the last work session, and I think the last meeting, I have lots of questions about committees, our committee structure that have come up as I've worked as treasurer. And finally, at the last meeting, I think we talked about changes to bylaws that would have to be done by November. But let me just remind everybody that we need at least 35 days of deliberation for review before a bylaw change. So any changes that we may foresee for bylaws would have to be on record by September. So I'm just saying, if we don't have an active governance committee right now, or an executive committee, and that may be something that we want to consider in April, period. Thank you.
That makes sense. God, he makes a really good point too. I mean, we need to have a governance committee meeting sooner or later to facilitate any of these bylaw changes that Peter's referring to. So we can go over that at the work session and schedule something out and give everybody lots of notice. I'm trying to make our work session only in the same amount of time as our meeting, so an hour and a half. If we go a little bit over, it goes to 9 o'clock, that'd be a 2-hour meeting, so be it. That just means we have more work, we have a lot to cover. I'd like to keep it at an hour and a half, just because we want to go home. But yeah, let's just see how that goes next Tuesday. But do plan on, please put it on your schedule, board members and officers. Next up, Sanjuro. How do you pronounce your last name, Sanjuro? What nationality is that? Wow. Okay. That's cool. Okay. Sanjuro, our Japanese.
No, I'm not Japanese.
Oh, just the name. I love it.
Okay.
Sanjuro has been officially appointed as our new Public Safety Committee chair. A round of applause for our new chair. Thank you, sir. Now, the new, you may have seen in your email tonight, an email coming from Sanjuro regarding the Public Safety Committee and people that can participate in it, who would like to participate in it, volunteers needed for the committee. Please just get back in touch with them, follow the instructions that were in the email, and Sanjuro you'll be notifying everybody about an upcoming meeting, I'm sure, once you get a member or two. And it's what I did mention right before we started this, that as chair, I am by default a member of all of the committees. So we technically have an active public safety committee now that we have a chair, because our bylaws require 2 members of a committee for it to be, quote, active. So we are active in that sense, but it would sure be nice to have other volunteers on that committee so your chair doesn't have to, your president doesn't have to be there. Okay, so thank you, Sanjuro. Thank you very much for taking on that task, and I look forward to the work that you do. Second, Diane Parrish, bless your heart, has volunteered and has been appointed by your chair, by your president, to be our new vice chair. So Diane, thank you very, very much for reaching out and for volunteering to take that task on. The vice chair, in essence, according to the bylaws, is basically my substitute. If I'm not here for a meeting, the vice chair, the vice president takes over and does the official goings on as if they were the president. So it's a relief from my perspective to have a backup. So thank you very much, Diane.
It's a great honor to, have the opportunity to serve M&A. So
Well, thank you. And that means that we have a full ranking, we have a complete officer. We're full on officers. We have a chair, we have a president, we have a vice president. And by default, I keep calling it chair, but it's not. We're presidents. I'm the president. We now have a vice president in Diane Parrish. We have a treasurer with Peter Sampson, and we have a secretary with Julie. So Julie Leet. So we are full there. Peter, I see your hand up.
Yeah. Hey, I can't think of anyone who would make a better vice president than Diane. I'm just delighted to see her step up. I got to say, though, I was surprised that I only learned about it but 3 hours ago. And there have been coming out of last month's work session, there was a discussion about the need for database management, and there have been conversations happening about conferring more responsibilities in that direction to a vice president. And there's not a formal proposal yet, but I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to ask that this be an interim appointment until we have further conversations about ways that we can expand the capacity of our officers and board members.
I'm disagree with that, to be honest with you, because if we were to follow the procedure that is required to expand the role of the officers, that means it's a bylaw change. And right now, the bylaws, and that means that we have to convene the bylaws committee. It has to come up through the committee, and it has to be voted on by the officers, any changes in responsibilities. And right now, I'm striking while the iron is hot with Diane. And so I'd like to, I think it's kind of semantics at this point, interim versus permanent. Once we, I think it's kind of six of one, half a dozen of another, quite honestly.
Well,
And-
I think maybe Peter, as since we're still a young organization and fleshing out a lot of these responsibilities and roles and formation and everything, maybe we can just not change our set duties by the bylaws, and we can always add them on as we want to as volunteers. And then as we get through more of this process, if we decide, hey, this really makes a lot of sense, then we can make some changes for future elections, for future people.
That makes sense. And, instead of mandating it, perhaps we could ask Diane if she'd like to take on more responsibility under that umbrella.
Mhm.
And then the next person that volunteers to be our vice chair we can always expand the tasks in the future and document them and for the next one. Does that make
Yeah, it's
sense?
definitely easier for someone to expand our responsibilities after we have documented processes and procedures. So if in the future, when there's a new vice president, they can, or a vice chair or a treasurer, anyone, they're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I need to do. This is how I do it. And
But it does make sense. I mean, I think I appreciate where you're coming from, Peter. I think what's happening is that we're still in M&A 1.0. And what you're talking about, Peter, is M&A 2.0. And 2.0 means expanded responsibility by all of the officers or duties and
You know, that's fine, Moses. I want to keep the topic of expanding capacity and leadership alive. And I care less about the procedures than I do about the interest in keeping the conversation going. So Diane, congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thanks, Peter. And
and I will admit, in lieu of Diane reached out to me 2 weeks ago about and volunteered to be vice chair. And rather than inundate, send out another email to everybody that would be lost into the spam folders, I thought I'd just wait till we had our official meeting to make it, to codify it. You know, so thank you, Diane. Next up, Land Use Committee. That is the last land committee that we have that is in need of a chair. And we have been receiving land use notices from the city and specific developments around the neighborhood. And we have not been able to do anything really with them because we don't have a chair of that committee. There is a procedure, a vetting procedure in that land use usually follows when it's an active committee. But we haven't been that committee hasn't been active for about a year or two, well, more than that now. So once we get a committee chair, someone to take the leadership role in the land use committee, we can be a little bit more diligent in making sure that the notices that are of developments that are around the city that are coming up around the neighborhood, that we're able as a neighborhood association to do something with them. Right now, we don't really do anything with them, unfortunately. So, long story short, if someone in the audience tonight is interested in being taking a leadership role in the land use committee, please reach out to me. I'd love to have your participation. Okay, Peter, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Beth suggested last month aligning our committees with D4Cs, which would combine transportation and land use, I think. And has anyone talked with Stefan about that, or
So
is that
I
something we
have,
want to do?
Stefan,
Peter,
go ahead.
I have started going to the D4 land use and transportation meetings. And in a perfect world, I'd be able to do land use too. I'm stretched so darn thin that I can barely keep my head above water and like get food on my children. So, so yes, if there's champions out there that want to do that kind of stuff, they should by all means volunteer. So I am going to the D4 land use and transportation meetings, but I could even give that role to somebody else.
I just had a quick question. Maybe, Stefan, if there's someone else on your committee that you think might be interested?
I
That can
don't
help.
think there's anybody else on my committee.
Okay.
So as I say, right now, there have been a couple that have come up. The notices from the city are sent to are either sent via postal mail to our mailbox, or lately I've noticed that they've been emailing one or two of them. And so I think that's something that we need to put on the work schedule at the work session. Maybe we should do something we need to talk about how we're going to facilitate those at the work session with or without a chair.
You know, since there have been interest in a couple issues lately, for this meeting, I posted excerpts from the land use notices that I've been getting in the mailbox. And I can continue to do that. It's kind of a pain, but it's important for people to be able to see these resources as they come out. So I'll keep posting them. I post basically the cover page and a map or diagram. So it's not the whole thing, but I can keep doing that.
Okay, sounds good. And last but not least is the M&A officers report. As chair, I do not have a report, just because we've got our announcement section. I'll defer it to the announcements. Diane, I'm not expecting you to have a report, but if you do, you're welcome to give one.
I do not have a report.
Okay, sounds good. Then our treasurer, I know, has a report. So,
Yeah, hi, everybody. I hope you've had a chance to read my report, and I wanted to just make a couple of comments about it. And I got some questions that I want to respond to, and I invite any questions that you may have this evening. I want to make the point that the only financial document in this month's report is the proposed budget for the year. There's not a statement of financial position, and there's not a statement of financial activity. A budget is neither of those. Budget's just a work plan. It's a roadmap for what we think this year will look like financially, where we expect revenue to come in, and what we expect to spend it on. But I did get a couple of questions that I wanted to respond to. They came from Will. Does the budget assume that equity will spend a full $3,000 that we just got gifted from Unite Oregon and SWEC? And the answer is no, does not assume that. How much of our assets are in either donor restricted or board designated funds, and that number is 13,300 and odd change. And if you look at the amount of money in the bank, we've got about $21,000. 13,000 of that is basically dedicated to specific projects. So that leaves about almost $7,400 for general operations and for standard allocations. As a reminder, all committees get about almost $500. This has been an unusual budget because a bunch of committees did not turn in a budget for the activities, and I just decided it would be better to leave them out. And as they start to gear up and conduct business, that I would see revenue coming in on one side and expense on the other, and that would appear in our financial statements later in the year. Let's see, what else? Financial position. Oh, and the final question is what committees don't have a standard allocation. So the board, donor restricted and board designated funds have come into equity, livability, community events, Spring Garden Park, and land use. And so none of those got a standard allocation. They basically gave standard allocations to committees that had no resources at all. And if, as the year unfolds, some of those committees continue to see no financial activities, we can talk about what the method would be maybe for releasing some of these general funds so that they could do work above their standard allocation. But that's not in standing rules right now, and it's not in bylaws. It's uncharted territory. But and I would invite any questions. Are there any questions tonight from the floor about our financial report?
seeing none here in person. All righty. Well,
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Peter. The secretary actually has something to report, which is, I think, a first in like 24 months. I would have forgotten, except the treasurer reminded me. I filled out a CT-12 form, which is a Department of Justice form. Fancy. That's my entire report.
Good job.
I love our secretary's succinctness, I tell you. But thank you for filling out that report. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go to new business, which is basically the motion to approve the 2025 M&A budget that our treasurer has submitted. This is a vote of the board members and the officers, not of the full membership. So to make sure that we have a quorum, I will tip my hat to Will Fuller to help me make sure that who we to take into account who will be voting.
Okay,
And we have myself
may I?
and Julie as board members, as officers here in person.
Pete is
I
also,
don't think Sanjuro is a board member. He's just a committee chair, and this would be for board members to vote on. So as far as board members, we have Will,
would you like
Stefan,
to? May I?
Diane. Oh, pardon me. Go ahead.
Well, I just have myself, you, Peter, Julie, Kate is on, and Pam and Stefan are present. So that would be 7 people on the board, which I believe we have 9. If I've lost count, but I think that's correct.
We have 9 board members on.
9 board members on total.
A total in attendance for tonight's meeting.
Of which 7 are here.
Cool, got it.
Fantastic. Are there any questions about the budget? Well, here, wait a minute. Let me do this. Let me pull up the motion itself.
I do have a question I can ask while you pull that up. Peter, what category are the committees under? Is that the supplies category?
What categories? Well, underlying this roll, so the document in the financial report is a roll-up of all the committees and
Oh, okay.
projects. And there are 12 or 14 or 11, depending on the day of the week. And if you want to report committee by committee or project by project, I can produce those. But the challenge, and one of the challenges of this budget was to produce an overall budget for the, a single budget for the whole organization. So the answer to your question is sort of embedded in each line item. And I'd be happy to produce more detail if you like.
I don't think that's necessary. I was just wondering if it was like separate, or since they're all tied in, that makes total sense. Thank you.
Good.
So the motion on the floor is that has been presented by our treasurers, not requiring a second because it's been submitted by our treasurer, that the treasurer moves that the board adopt the 2025 operating budget as it appears in the April finance report, to wit, what you see here online. Is that on? Yes, it is. Okay, so is everyone on Zoom seeing what I am seeing, the actual report that was submitted in the motion?
I'm not.
No,
I don't see anything.
it's not shared.
I just see you, Moses.
We see it here in the building, but you guys don't see it. Hey, Peter, is it, I'm on the shared drive. I'm under finance, under treasurer's report, but I'm not seeing what Moses is sharing, which is just more of a straightforward spreadsheet.
It's
Page
not-
2.
It's not on Zoom.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's page 2 of the finance report, of the April finance report.
Oh, let me just take a peek.
There you go. Have it?
I see
we
it
go.
now.
Yep, there it is. So this acknowledges not only the fund balance at the beginning of the year, but then projects all these revenues and expenditures to show where a fund balance would be at the end of the year. Right now, we're showing a almost $2,500 surplus in the budget. So our financial position should, if reality unfolds the way the budget estimates, then our fund balance would increase a little bit by year end. And a couple of things that I pointed out in my report, I know I'm going over my 3.5 minutes here, but if you see, there's a new revenue line called in-kind donations, and those are goods and services that are donated, not cash. And the offsetting expenses, in other words, what categories those donations were made for, are built into the corresponding expense lines down below. And those also are distributed project by project. So It's a good way to show two things. One is the actual cost of a project, and also the degree of community support for those projects in the form of in-kind donations. And there is a new, I'll just add, there's a new a category called volunteer appreciation, which is I want everybody to start taking neighbors out for a cup of coffee or going for a walk, and we will reimburse you for doing that. I really have come to firmly believe that the way we expand our membership and our capacity is just by one-on-one encounters and learn what people's interests are and how they could get more involved. So there's now some budgetary support for that.
Well, I might have a receipt already for you then, Peter. I
Okay.
went and I bought all the ambassadors from the SRV
Urban Alchemy, yeah.
of Urban Alchemy ambassadors. I bought them all a $5 gift certificate at Village Coffee.
Good for you.
Yeah, those guys rock. They just absolutely rock. They deserve it. So I just mention it to mention it. I don't need a reimbursement for $20, but on one hand, on the other hand, if you want to throw it to me, maybe I should submit a form.
Well, you should make it a donation then,
There you go.
because we want it on the books.
Well, I already
somewhere.
did. I donated it to them, so technically, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, if we were to do it according to financial, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Wait,
Okay.
I just saw a question from Ken come in. How do we, well, it disappeared off the screen, but how are donations attributed to specific projects? And that happens down at the project or committee level. And Ken, I can show you the spreadsheet for that if you'd like to see how those get recorded. Ken made a very generous donation, by the way, to the Village Park project a couple weeks ago. Thank you, Ken.
Fantastic. Is there any more discussion
You're welcome.
necessary on this motion? Is
Just
there
one-
any other questions that
if
we
I
would
may,
have
this
for
is
the budget?
Phil. Sorry, just a quick note. Peter mentioned that the $3,000 award from SWEC is not included in the expenditures. So we fully intend to spend at least some of it during the year, which since it's not accounted for in this, could reduce the net revenue by whatever we spend.
Well, it hasn't been earned as revenue either.
It is revenue. It's cash in the bank. It's not counted as revenue.
So here's a subtlety about grants and donations like this. They are liabilities until the work is performed, and then you earn the grant money or the
But
donation.
This is unrestricted money. They gave it to the neighborhood association with no strings attached.
Oh, I thought it was to
the board-
advance I'm sorry, I thought it was to advance the equity work.
That was our choice. We
Oh.
voted
Oh, so it's board designated, not donor restricted.
board decking, exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it were board restricted, anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, I lumped, for simplicity's sake, I lumped donor restricted and board designated funds together. There's basically, I consider those untouchable without by general projects unless there's a discussion about whether we want to release them.
Well, we can talk about that later, but there is a distinct difference between the two as to whether the board has discretion on how to spend them. But that's for another day. We got time. Go on.
Yeah, we can talk later about that. I'd be happy to.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there any other discussion in regards to the motion to approve the proposed budget for 2025? Hearing none, let's go ahead and have our vote on this. Once again, this would be for officers and for board members. All in favor in approving the budget as proposed by our treasurer for 2025, signify with a yay. I have-
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Go for it.
Yay. Do I hear all, all against, please say nay. Sounds like we have approved this by acclamation unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work in developing this, Peter. It's
Mm.
greatly appreciated.
You're welcome, Moses.
Money, money, money. Oh, my goodness. Budgets blow me away sometimes. I'm so happy I'm not treasurer. And I've been treasurer before. And the numbers just boggle me sometimes. All right. So we have a budget. Our nonprofit, our 501c3 has a budget for the year. Awesome. All right. So let's go get some work done because we have some money to play with. Okay, very good. We are finished with the new business and we have approved the budget for 2025. It is 7:39. I'm 4 minutes behind schedule, but I'm sure that we can get things done pretty quickly here. The announcement sections here. Let's talk about what's going on. I've been in communications with Councilor Clark, Olivia Clark's office. Got off the phone with them today. And her chief of staff, Kenny Radosta, and to arrange for a budget town hall to be done here in Multnomah, in the Multnomah neighborhood, prior to the mayor making his proposed budget on May 5th. So that would mean we would be having this town hall in the next 4 weeks. I've mentioned to Jimmy that we have our Tuesdays seem to be good days to be doing this, but we still have to firm up based off of the counselor's schedule. But the way it is looking, very tentatively, is that we're looking at the 29th of April to have that budget town hall. The town hall would be at the Multnomah Arts Center. We would not be having to pay for the room. Councilor Clark's office has stated that they will pay for the rental fee. So it is just going to be up to us as a neighborhood association to have volunteer our time to bring it together and to make sure that we have good attendance. Right now, we're tentatively thinking there's going to be 50 or less people that will in attendance at this. So we'll probably have it in one of the rooms at the Multnomah Arts Center. If we get, I was talking to Jimmy about it, we need to set up an RSVP for this. If we get more and we get a lot of people that turn out for this, we can always move it into the auditorium. But over the next couple of weeks, I'll be reaching out by email to everybody to get that arranged and to let you know how's that go. If other counselors will be participating on this. Right now, it's just Olivia Clark's office that will be involved. But her chief of staff said that he will be reaching out to the other 2 counselors to confirm their attendance at this budget town hall as well. But so at the minimum, we're going to have 1. At the maximum, we're going to have 3. And at the minimum, we're going to be talking about the budget as it relates to the mayor's budget. As you all know, the mayor is the one that proposes the budget, but the councilors are the ones that approve the budget and can make changes to that, make suggestions to change it. So this is a pretty important opportunity for us as a neighborhood association to advocate for specific budget priorities. So more to come on that as I learn more, but it's, as I say, very tentatively scheduled for the 29th of April. And I'll know more over the next week. And
In the evening, presumably?
Oh, very definitely in the evening. Very definitely in the evening. We didn't want to do it during the daytime because we want more people to be able to show up. So, I'll stay in touch with everybody on that. Next up is the Multnomah Historical Association. Things are really hopping over there. I'm not sure if we have someone. Here, wait a minute. Do we have somebody
Hey,
represent?
Moses.
Larry.
Ah, yes, Terry, yes.
I am here.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Give
I'm
us
the
a-
person. I don't think Maria is here tonight.
I know you guys have a lot going on. Can you share with us in 2 minutes or less?
I definitely can share with you in 2 minutes or less. There's not a lot going on. Hi, everyone. My name is Terry Constam. I live in the neighborhood, been here for 5 or 6 years, and I didn't know that we even had a neighborhood association. So this is awesome to come to one of these meetings and see all the things you guys are doing. And I'm super impressed with, you're very organized. I joined my first historical society meeting last night, and there's not a lot going on there right now. It's pretty inactive. There are some board members. I'm still trying to figure out who is who. A lot of them are older, and a lot of people who are participating have either passed away or just like can't take it on anymore. And so I'm trying to get involved so that we don't lose all of that really awesome heritage of this neighborhood. So yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never been a part of an association before, but I'm here to help and do what I can. The first thing that I was speaking with one of them about last night was trying to get their website back up and going. They let the website subscription lapse, so now somebody else owns it. I'm trying to capture all of the old information, because there are a bunch of articles in there written by the previous president that I don't want lost, because there's so much good information in there. So I'm working on that. I've got the treasurer, Patty. I don't have her last name on me right now. She's the one that's working with you guys on signing the paperwork for your shared storage space. She's in charge of the 501c3, and we're trying to figure out what's going on there. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out where they stand so that I can also figure out how to move forward with that. So not a lot going on. If anyone has any suggestions, if anyone wants to help, it sounds like you guys have a lot going on too, but that's where I am.
Terry, this is Julie. Just welcome. I'm so glad that you were able to connect. When we find people with these superpowers and when we actually can connect them together, it just makes me really happy. So thank you for, following your bliss and, for helping them. It's wonderful to see.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great.
Well, one thing I will say is that when it comes to the Historical Association, Terry, their website, as you noticed, is very thorough. They were extremely active there for many years.
Yeah.
And there's a wealth of historical touchstones that they have. So the fact that you've stepped up to help them reorganize, and revitalize is huge, because it would be a shame to have that all go to waste.
Yeah, it would be terrible. There's so much there. And I think there's a lot that we could do in the neighborhood to continue that going on. And I think I don't want to get ahead of myself. I feel like I have ideas, and but there's just like some clerical stuff that we need to get in line first before we can start moving forward with those things.
Great. And I know Patty is so amazing for a decades.
Oh yeah.
This was her baby. And it just pleases me and makes me so darn proud of our organization, and of you for stepping up to make sure that we don't lose it. There's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
Thanks. Right. So, folks that are listening, if there's things that you can do that you want to help maintain the historical association going, get in touch with Terry.
Yeah, I guess I have one thing to ask. If anybody has any website experience, I think we were just going to move forward with doing another WordPress website, and I don't know how that works, but I can chat GPT it and work my way through it. It just might take some time, but if somebody does know how that works and can help me do it faster, that's probably our best course of action, is to get that up and going. And then because we can put all of our resources and information there for like our new membership forms, because we need to get those going. We need to figure out is it Venmo or Zelle for members to pay their dues. We have that's my first plan of action. So if anyone knows about websites.
This is Sanjuro. I am a web developer, so if you need help with that, I'm happy to help.
Okay. Enduro, I'm writing your
Yay.
name down. You're my guy.
You shouldn't have said that.
Just that it's old people who like this stuff. Do something that you can send in a check as well as the Zelle and the other online things.
Yeah.
Right on, Amanda. Very good. All right. Well, Sanjuro, Terry, Sanjuro.
Thanks.
Cool.
Enduro,
I
is your email address on the website?
I'm gonna put it in the chat, but and I see your first dot last at Gmail. Is that right?
Correct.
Woohoo! I'm gonna put it in the chat for both of you.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. Oh, and Diane, you have your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, Moses. This is Matt. I know we had
Hi.
talked about this in last month's meeting, but I didn't see it in the Multnomah Messenger that we were going to share a link and then possible the membership form for the Historical Association. And I wonder if that's still possible.
Right now, I believe it's just a paper form, and it doesn't even have the correct place to send any information. So Patty is reworking the membership form right now.
Okay. What was I think Patty had mentioned the what's currently up and running is the Facebook page.
Yes, and that's another problem is that we have two Facebook pages. Patty and possibly the the old president who doesn't respond to anybody anymore. So that's something else we need to figure out.
I really wonder, I don't mean to take up time with this. What happened to Tim Lyman?
He moved to Astoria and doesn't want to talk
Oh.
to anybody, I guess. I haven't tried to reach out to him yet, but it sounds like he's very unresponsive to everyone else that's tried to reach out to him. And doesn't really want anything to do with
Okay.
it.
Right on.
He's doing stuff out there now. He's on I think a community college board out in Astoria.
Wow. No, Tim was so active there for a while
Oh,
with the
I'm
Historical
looking through the
Association.
old website that I can access still from like some internet archives, and every article is written by him. He has so much
Yeah.
information. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hang in there, Terry. Thank you. And whatever
Thank
we can do to assist, let us know, please.
Thanks.
Okay. Next up is on the agenda is the Portland NET Neighborhood Emergency Team update. And I have Tom here who can talk to that.
Hi, this is Tom Boker. I'm the team lead for the Multnomah Neighborhood Emergency Team. We've got several activities going on. The 23rd of April is our next meeting. And if you would like to attend our local neighborhood emergency team meeting, you can send a email to multnomahnet@gmail.com. And I'm going to ask Julie to drop that address into the chat. The other thing that's happening that we've been very involved in is helping neighbors set up community preparedness pods. And these are groups of neighbors as small, I think our smallest pod is 4 or 5 neighbors that have joined together, and largest is around 15. And basically what this is about is developing close relationships with your neighbors so that in the case of an emergency, whether it's something small like a winter ice storm or something larger like the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake that we expect is going to happen one day or another, you will be able to be there to offer assistance and to receive assistance from people that you've built trusted relationships over the years. And if you are interested in joining one of these or setting one up, again, you can drop an email to me, and that's multnomahnet@gmail.com. Thank you.
Could you tell us again the date of the next?
April 23rd at Fire Station 18, but send an email. There are instructions. We don't want to disturb the firefighters. They're often on a sleep period, and we don't want to interrupt them. So there are some instructions, and I can supply those to you when you drop an email. Thanks. 23rd, April.
Fantastic. Let's see here. Okay. I do want to point out when it comes to the net, I was mentioning this to you earlier tonight, Tom, that there seems to be a real resurgence in the net, in the importance of net in the neighborhoods.
Thank you. So the Portland Bureau of Emergency Management has a training program for net volunteers. And mid last year, I think the citywide count was at about 1,500 volunteers. They've had several training sessions. In they've had 3 training sessions since the first of the year. The third and final class for the spring is happening in April. Probably too late to sign up for it as full. At the completion of that class, they would have added an additional 250 volunteers citywide. The Multnomah team started out in October of 2023 after a hiatus due to COVID with about 20 members, and we've added 6 members in the last 8 or 9 months. So excellent training program. And what we're hearing from people that are signing up for the program is that they have a very strong desire to build relationships with their neighbors. And they're using emergency preparedness as that leverage point to get them connected into their communities. We all went into isolation during COVID. Some neighbors actually banded together and formed tight-knit groups, and some of those neighbor groups have turned into our emergency preparedness pods. But with everything that's going on, people feel a very strong connection to connect with their community and build community relationships. And so the program's there. It's free of charge. The next training session is probably going to happen in September. But if you're interested, if you just Google this, PBEM, Portland Bureau of Emergency Management, just the initials, PBEM space NET, it'll take you to the page where the information about signing up for training is available. So thank you, Moses.
Thank you very much. Next up, I'm hoping Pam, next up is the traffic safety event that we had on Southwest Vermont Street. I know that Pam Fox, are you
I'm
on?
here.
Can you give us
Moses, the report for this is written up in the Community Events Committee report. Is it okay to defer to that for an announcement, or should I go into?
Sure, absolutely. It was just such a cool event that I wanted to highlight it in this particular section. But yes, a full report is there. And I did want to also mention too that I'd like to work with you, Pam, to try to get another event happening up the street here. I'm pointing up Capitol Highway. I don't know if you see me pointing, but I am pointing up towards the Hoot Owl. We did a safety event a few years back up there because what happens is during the morning time, people are just drive like bats out of hell, going up into the Hillsdale, going up that hill there. And we had just like what you did out there on Southwest Vermont, we had a bike cop there with and they gave out a ticket or two. It was really kind of cool, and a good reminder. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm hoping that this is the first of many that we do, at least I'd like to see us do 2 or 3 of these a year is what it comes down to, but yeah. So for more detail about that safety event, it's in the report. Thank you, Pam. Next up, let's see here. The Little Free Library installation is coming up. That's you, Secretary.
Hi, it is go time. I've been arranging a bunch of things like in the winter, and now I'm realizing everything's coming to fruition. I'm kind of freaking out. So the Little Free Library, the reinstallation. Oh, by the way, it's not a Little Free Library, and I've been saying this entire time. A Little Free Library is a free library that is registered and trademarked through an organization called Little Free Library. And I do apologize for using that term. It is not that. What we have is a free library, and we're calling it like a London British box. I apologize for not having it roll off my tongue yet. But anyway, the party, the reinstallation, rededication party is on the 19th, Saturday at noon. And we have a musician, and the person who created it and dedicated it will be there and give a little bit of a speech. We're going to have some treats. Coin News will likely be there as long as something more interesting doesn't happen. And we'll have a couple of other things. We have like an invite list of probably 200 people that the invite's going to be going out to, for people that have helped the fundraiser and the ornaments, and with all of the different helping hands that made it come to fruition. So we're really excited about that. Does anybody have any questions about the event? I mean, we're keeping it real small. We're not going to have any roads cordoned off or anything like that. So people will just be standing around Sage Florist for a little while. Yeah, Otto Lang is the musician, and we'll be using his mic for the dedication speech.
You said noon, Julie?
Yep. You'll be getting a notification through MailChimp this week.
So in other words, be there, be square. Yep, you're up next again. Okay, so do you need books to fill the library?
I love that you asked that. Yes, the answer is yes. I thought that, yes, we need books. Please bring books. I have one book. I have one other person bringing some books, so that would be so sad. You know, there's another, any type of book you think would be appropriate. My kid was trying to give like the fifth in a series of 10. I'm like, no, that's not cool. And I would imagine that based on the location, anything from, children's books all the way up to mystery novels would be okay. There's been another question. We've been invited to be part of a different level of library, which is a kindness library, which we can talk about at a different time, which we can upgrade to if we see fit. But any other questions on book library? Real quick, just the next thing is Me Too. It's the Solve Earth Day cleanup. So we're going to be right in front of Meals on Wheels at I think 9 a.m. Or if anybody wants to help, I actually have a posse this time for like helpers, which I live and learn just very slowly. So thank you very much for the people who volunteered to help me set up. And we have expanded it to 40 people. Hillsdale, I have to do a humble brag. I have some people from Hillsdale that have said, I wish that we had an active neighborhood association like Multnomah does. I'm like, I hope that you can help make that happen. And we are friends with Hillsdale on anything that we can help with. And so what we did for the Earth Day cleanup is we're going to have 2 posses, and we're going to have a second pickup zone near James Recycling off Beaverton Hillsdale. So it's while this is a village event, we're going to have 2 groups of people doing things on their behalf. And there's still room on the sign up list. I can add that link to my meeting notes and actually to the Zoom notes in a second. Any questions about that?
Yeah, Julie, I want to remind you that anybody can become a member of the Multnomah Neighborhood Association if they have a special interest in the neighborhood. So all those Hillsdale people who want to get active in neighborhood activities, they can become members.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah.
And I'm interested a little bit in encouraging they're just different. I've reached out to their neighbor. They do things differently. And so I was hoping to be friends with them just to see if we could collaborate on some stuff. But yes, I will remember.
Yeah.
To invite people. Yes. So.
Well, I love how those folks in just up the street, they're different, you see. But yeah, that's great. And we've also, I do want to mention that the NET folks will also be sharing some space with us at that event. We've got to make sure, we've got to confirm this, but 110%, but it's probably 95% confirmed that we'll be able to have NET there joining us there. And then as far as the books, Kate, I agree with you. I think that we should just bring the books to the grand opening on the 19th. I think it's the easiest way instead of you having to carry boxes of books that you've collected. Okay. If you didn't hear that, if you can't make it on the 19th, get a hold of me, get a hold of Julie, and we can take them down. I've got a few books that I want to share. Now that my kiddo is 20, she does not need the books that I used to teach her to read. I taught her to read, by God. But I do have an inventory that I'd like to contribute to that library, and I'm sure all of us do. So if you can bring them on the 19th, great. If you can't, get a hold of Julie or I, and I'll come and get them from you, and we'll take them there on the 19th. Let's see what else. Oh, Julia, it's your turn now. Julia, we're talking about the Neighborhood House, our partners at the Neighborhood House.
Yes. Hi. So I kind of wear two hats. I live in the neighborhood and I'm on Julie's Solve Posse Day. So just another plug for the Earth Day pickup. But I'm also the volunteer and community engagement specialist at the Neighborhood House. New position, though, grew up in this neighborhood, live in this neighborhood. So saw the position and just knew that I had to apply, and excited to be kind of wearing two hats and connecting with all of you here. I did want to share just kind of a few events that are coming up. For those that might not be familiar, the Neighborhood House is a nonprofit. We are right on Capitol Highway. We have a variety of different programs and services. Our free food pantry is right in the village along with our garden, and our senior center is within the Multnomah Arts Center, just to name a few of our local programs. We are moving locations not far, just over to Barber Boulevard. And just to kind of share more about that move and the ability that new space will give for us to expand our programs and to serve more individuals in our community and beyond. We're having different community info sessions, both in April and May. Some of those will be virtual, some in person. And I'll just include the link for that sign up in the chat. Just kind of an hour long, different times of the day, but just a really kind of great opportunity just to see how excited we are about that growth. And then another event that we're having kind of in conjunction to the Multnomah Village Earth Day celebration, we'll be having a seed giveaway right out front. So definitely be sure to kind of stop by on Earth Day, April 26th. And how convenient, you could go to Solve and then you could go to the seed giveaway. So just wanted to share those, and yeah, thanks for the time.
Julia, thank you.
Actually, this is Julie. Real quick, I wanted to thank Julia for one other thing, just a side note. The M&A is also doing a bulky item pickup event this year, we're same on a theme, right? Last year we were, helping people who had the ability to move large items physically and then with a car to dispose of them in a free and quick and safe manner. This year, we're going to the people that don't have those resources. So it's a little bit different. So we're really looking for these trusted partners who know the underserved populations well enough to be able to connect with them in a real way, to offer to deburden them with these bulky items, with these things that are posing safety hazards and health hazards in their homes. And it's harder than you think to find those right partners, to have those types of conversations with their customers, with their congregants, with their partners. And we were able, thanks to Julia, to reconnect again with Neighborhood House, and they have now identified, I think, 7 partners in your shared housing space that will be taking advantage of this. So thank you very much for going the extra mile. We know that it's a great thing, but it's a lot of work. So thanks to your team for going the extra mile for us.
We're likewise very, very appreciative. And I was just chatting with Mario, who is our director of housing, and he was just really excited and appreciative. So I think more collaboration and conversations to go, but really grateful for that community support.
Well, I will say this, the last time that we did that bulky item pickup and we had the labor involved with it, we had the kids from the football team at Ida B. Wells helping. And it was so satisfying because the people that we were helping there at Stevens Creek Crossing Apartments, at first they were tentative, like, what are you guys doing? Is this for real? And then they over a period of an hour, more and more people brought things out. The kids started to get involved. It was so satisfying. And for now, this logical next step of us going to them is just super cool, because there's a lot of people in our neighborhood that just don't have the ability to get rid of a lot of this stuff. And so this is a service that, this is a really important service. So good on you, Julia, for helping us. Good on you for doing this, Julie. Cool. Thank you. And Julia, I do want to mention, we are so appreciative of the partnership that the Neighborhood House has been sharing with us at the Neighborhood Association, not just with this particular project, not just with the Solve project, not just with the helping us with the neighborhood with the historical association.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
It's like for many years, I've really wanted to see a nice partnership between all of the groups in the neighborhood, the business association, the neighborhood house, the neighborhood association. And it's so satisfying to see it all starting to come to fruition now. So cool. Let's keep it going.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Wow. It is 8:12. We're only 12 minutes behind, folks. Okay, let's get into our committee reports. First committee report is from the Multnomah Safe for Us Village Community Advisory Committee. They have submitted a report, but we also have Mary Knox here, who is a member of the committee that will be talking about what's going on.
Hi, everybody. The full report is on the website, so I won't waste time going through that. We are continuing to work on parking on Southwest 25th, and we got some information about some staff reorganization at the village, which I think has been really super helpful. A couple things that are not in that report, and I'm hoping Moses might have an update, is in terms of the problematic lighting situation, the city shelters team, and therefore the CAC is pretty much signed off saying they're done. They don't have any budget to do anything. They've done everything they can. And so at our last meeting, Moses, you mentioned getting Councilman Zimmerman involved. And so I don't know if you have anything to say about that now, but that would be the next step.
I unfortunately do not, but let's talk before the end of this meeting or by tomorrow. Are you available tomorrow by chance?
We can talk on the phone tomorrow. I'm gonna leave right after this report, but
Okay,
yeah.
let's talk on the phone tomorrow and let's get up a game plan on that. Perhaps I can.
Okay, and then for the April CAC, a couple things we'll be talking about is whether the CAC is going to change their meeting schedule for the following year. We started last summer, so we'll be entering the second year this summer. And we talked about whether we need to meet monthly or not. So we'll have a bigger conversation about that. And then among ourselves, we're beginning to talk about how many of us will continue on as reps for this committee. And if anybody, wants to rotate off. And so I'm assuming, Moses, if we have an opening, you'll send that out to the broader membership.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm curious. I get CC'd on most of the emails of people that are with concerns about things that are happening at the SRV. And I've noticed a distinct downturn. I haven't been receiving any of late, the last couple of weeks. Is that just, am I seeing that?
I don't know if Lisa's on, has been kind of collecting them. I definitely think they've decreased. I think there's still a lot of concern over the lighting, but I think people have found that just continuing to send in emails is not helpful. And so we're really trying to go in a different direction. Noise is always an issue, but the new director of the MSRV, the program director, has been really great. And he's had some great ideas about helping with nighttime noise and kind of staff flows and how they're managing that. So hopefully it's helping.
I will say I have noticed that the new on-site manager there at the SRV has been Johnny on the spot if there has been something that comes up.
Yeah,
Ryan,
he's
right.
really responsive. He's been a really great partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing it's amazing what communication can do.
Sure. Yeah.
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 And I think that was one of the biggest challenges that the SRV had from day one, is just communicating to us. And so to have Ryan, the new point person there, be as fast as he is and as attentive to things is kind of refreshing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I hope it makes your job easier.
Yeah.
As far as the committee itself.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions at this time? Or you could also email us our contacts on the website.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your service on this, Mary. Let's see, next up, community events. That would be Corinne.
Moses, I'm going to take it to Pam. I've been out with family stuff over the last month or so.
Sure, go ahead, Pam.
So everything's written up in our committee report for this month. And the only thing that I'll point out is that we have a sign-up sheet for our M&A booth at the May 18th Sunday Parkway event. And I'm going to drop the link into the chat here. So we're just looking for folks to sign up to man the booth during that event. And the rest of our details are in our committee report.
Did you say that that's on May 18th? Yep, there it is.
Yes, that's right. Sunday, May 18th.
We're talking the Sunday Parkways event.
Yeah, and it's from 11 to 4 is the actual event time.
Okay.
We have a booth reserved.
Well, if it's anything like the last Sunday Parkway, it's going to be well attended. That was a lot of fun last year. All right, well, great. Pam, thank you. And for more details about what's going on with the Community Events Committee, please take a look at their report. Julia stepped outside to talk with Mary Knox for a moment, so we'll circle back around to the Livability Subcommittee because I know she's got a few things.
I have a question. Is livability still a subcommittee or is it its own
Uh,
committee? Had that been established?
It is actually a committee. That is my fault on how I refer to it and how I put it on the agenda. So yeah, it is actually technically, it is an actual committee now. Let me do this. Let's go to equity and then we'll go to Friends of Spring Garden Park. And by that time, Julie will be back and she can give an update from livability and district call. I'm skipping around here. Darn it. Yeah. Wait a second.
Well-
Actually, okay. District 4 Coalition was up next.
Beth,
Will-
Beth is homesick today, so she couldn't do the District 4 Coalition report. Or does anybody
that's
else have a
true.
report on that?
Okay, that's right. I saw that. Okay. So yeah, let's go into equity right now then.
Okay, Equity also has a report online. We won't bore you with a lot of details. We have talked it over, Beth and I, about where we want to go, and we're focusing on immigrants and refugees as a target population for inclusion and building support. We have a ton of things about what you can do online. We are also organizing regular meetings of the committee, and we're trying to recruiting more people to build specific projects to help in equity in two ways. First is to help people who need help, and other is help us as an organization be able to expand our way of doing things so that we're more inclusive. There's a specific, Francisco Aguirre gave a talk at St. Luke that both Peter and Beth went to. Beth was going to talk about it, but I don't know. Peter, are you able to say a few words about what happened with Francisco?
I don't see Peter.
Well, yeah, it was a very well attended meeting. It lasted an hour and a bit, and I got to say it was like sipping out of a water hose, out of a fire hose. A ton of information. I think the takeaways for me were that the best thing which we can do is show up at the ICE headquarters down the South Waterfront and just be there in solidarity for the people who are facing either arrest or detention. I have a good friend who has been going regularly every Monday morning from 10:30 to 11:30, and I plan on hooking up with him next Monday and just see what goes on down there. It quite odd is that they have never seen a migrant, anyone being ushered into the facility there. So, where are they? Where are they going? Where are they being taken? But much of what Francisco had to talk about was just the mechanics of what to do and what not to do if you want to help this population.
Great, thanks, Peter.
Yeah.
Any other comments on equity? Okay, well, I'll hold it at that point. We are having some informal meetings and we'll be having formal meetings of the Equity Committee on Wednesday or Thursday evenings once a month. Exact time to be determined.
Okay. Thank you very much, Will. Okay, livability, let's go back up to livability and then we're going to go to Friends of Spring Garden Park. First, livability.
The report was submitted online. I already talked about the library reinstallation. I did touch upon, well, Earth Day, I sent the link to. The only thing that I would bring up, there's two things. The bulky item pickup project, the day that it happens is on May 10th, which is the day that the city of Portland will be doing their free bulky item disposal event at St. Luke's across the street from Gabriel Park. So everybody get all your stuff ready and bring it on over there. And when you're thinking about that, if you're so inclined, call me. What I'm going to be looking for are volunteers to drive some trucks. I don't know what that'll look like. Trailers, U-Hauls. I'm not sure yet. There will be 4 people that I'll need to drive 4 routes of about 7 households that morning. And so if you're looking for some fun with some football players in tow, and looking for some fun on Saturday, the 10th, I'd really love some people to start putting the plan in place, and being a little sounding board, because sometimes I'm just in my head a lot, and I need people to vet out these ideas so I don't forget things. There's another thing that I'm going to recommend that we pose to the community. There's this cool grant that is, I'm going to share it in notes and on this. It's a city grant, and PMO keeps asking me to share it with everybody because it's 25 up to the grants are approximately $5,000 in size. They can be higher, and I apologize for multitasking and not having that information, but I'll make sure that we send it out. And I'd like people's thoughts on what we could do with this money. And I don't have the bandwidth to run with it, but if there was a need in the community, and then we had people that had interest in in a project, I'm sure that we could figure out how to submit on behalf of M&A. Does anybody have any idea? I know I'm giving you half the information.
Julie, who's the granting agency?
Yeah, I feel like it's the city of Portland. And again, I'm so sorry for not being prepared.
Let me just announce that I'm working on a $2,000 grant proposal to the Portland Parks Foundation for Village Park. And I've got maybe an hour and a half to go on that. And if anybody would like to polish their grant writing chops and help wrap that up, I would love to have a little help.
Yeah, I apologize. Multnomah County is launching the Community Vitality and Economic Opportunity Grant. So it's $250,000 that they're parceling out, and it's to make business districts and neighborhoods safer and more vibrant. Creative safety ideas, Stefan, on to help the neighborhood and community grow together, get people involved in events and activities that build community spirit, and make sure everything we do reflects Multnomah County's commitment to equity and inclusion for all. So
What's the deadline?
And it says, by the way, it says, I think things like graffiti cleanup, better lighting, sprucing up pedestrian areas, community events, and other ways are great ways to use this grant. That's what the city is telling me to tell you people. And it is who can apply. That's a 501c. And the deadline is at least a month out, if not. It's projects have to be done by August 31st. And the application is due by July 15th. You just calm down. There's plenty of people that want to do good things. It'll be fine. I'm going to send this in our notes.
Yeah, send me more info on that. The timeline looks wacky. Sounds wacky to me.
Yeah, it sounds like though it's a chunk of change available though. So we might be able, what was it, $250,000 is available total. So think big, folks. We can tap into it. Thank you, Julie. Let's go next to the Friends of Spring Garden Park.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pam Fox, co-chair of Friends of Spring Garden Park. Our committee report is available for you in the public meeting folder. And the only announcement I have online in person with you right now is I'd like to introduce Sarah Dodge, who is on our meeting today, and she has been one of the core volunteers for a long time now in our stewardship event series, and she's also volunteering to become the interim co-chair of the Friends of Spring Garden Park committee. So I might just give Sarah a chance to say hello and kind of what brought her to MNA. And also attending this meeting is the final step in her process of becoming a member of the MNA. So she did the form online and now she's at the meeting and it's complete. Here's Sarah, everybody.
Yay, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, Pam. Yeah, I'm really happy to be officially here. But as Pam mentioned, I've been doing volunteering at the park for over a year and actually in the pantry at Neighborhood House too. So I've only been in Portland for a year and a half, but your neighborhood has kind of beckoned me to be a formal part of your association. So really looking forward to it. And I love the park. I have a 4.5-year-old, so we're there a lot and we can walk there now. So it's really, really nice to also be able to do some gardening and some fun events for the summer. So thanks.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you very much. Spring Garden Park is a little jewel of ours. And the fact that we've got it now as an official committee and we actually have $1 or $2 to spend on things for it is good, is very good. So however we can help support you, Sarah, and your efforts, and you too, Pam. There we go. And Pam just put in the chat how to get a hold of Pam and Sarah in regards to any upcoming projects or questions. Next up, communications.
I'll do communications again. Communications group is late getting its communications report out, but we are meeting, we'll meet next Friday to talk about what are the hotspots for communication. One of them being we're working on the upgrading the website. And I think we're talking about something Peter's brought out about what Multnomah neighborhood can do for you and what you can do for Multnomah neighborhood as a recruitment and activity appeal. And we're also heading hotspots. I hear that Sanjuro, as a web designer, we might be able to get some expertise on our web and get the communications out to the world and come in from the world. So the report is online, and I'll stop there so we have time for other reports. Are any questions, comments? Okay.
My only comment on communications of late is the activity that we have been, how active we have been on social media lately.
Yeah.
I just want to tip my hat to Pam and Kate and you, Will, for getting the word out via social media. I just see all these new posts it's kind of cool.
It's an active group of people. It's basically anybody who is doing external communication. We get together and talk with each other and share ideas. So we're not siloing and we're not leaving holes that we need to fill. So I really appreciate the expertise and the camaraderie of the group. It's the communications team, not just a committee. So
Last but not least would be Stefan and transportation. He's got a good announcement for us all here.
I got lots of good announcements, Moses. So
Awesome.
I think if you recall from the last meeting, I told you check back in with me in 2035 when our leaders have decided to care about pedestrian safety. It was very doom and gloom, but since then I was actually able to get a bunch of progress on things. So for one, I had a one-on-one with Mitch Green, and it went very well. He's got his new sidewalk. So between me setting up the meeting and our meeting, they announced this sort of like sidewalk initiative where they're proposing, honestly, it's a moonshot on trying to figure out how to fund millions, if not hundreds of $100 million worth of sidewalk infill in D1 and D4. We left that meeting with him saying, what I need from you, Stefan, is to help identify the best places for those sidewalks. So that was really good. So consequently, additionally, in the D4 land use and transportation meeting, really a lot of the talk is all around how do we pick what places we want to promote to put sidewalks in. So I'm going to continue to attend those meetings to make sure we get whatever pieces we can. And then also there's a second group that's, I would say, more of a Sweeney reboot for the transportation chairs that is sort of being headed up by Southwest Trails. And that group has a lot of crossover, honestly, but led by Don Bach. And again, they're sort of looking to figure out what sidewalk chunks they want to promote if that thing comes to pass. I'm very active in that group as well. And that group actually had Maria Sippen, who is Mitch Green's chief of staff, and an active transportation junkie herself, attend that last meeting. It was very productive and just fantastic. And then in my meeting with Councillor Green, he asked if he could attend one of our meetings. So he's going to be at our meeting next month. I did send a follow-up email confirming it all and didn't hear back, but I'm pretty confident he was putting it in his calendar as we were meeting and wants to meet at Riversgate Church in person. So hopefully folks can attend, and before and after the meeting would be a great time for side conversations with him. He's very much for staking his political career on providing active transportation, and we'll see if it happens. The other piece of really good news, and I'm probably over my time, is that I am feeling very optimistic that there is going to be a very simple and cheap improvement at 35th and Multnomah at the southwest corner by the food trucks, more or less closing the right-hand turn lane, putting in street parking there, and then putting in a bumped out curb. Not a real curb. It's just going to be white paint, white extruded curbs and white delineators similar to what's over at 35th and Falcon, but it would provide a nice large area where people could stand not in harm's way, as well as that bulb out will extend down 35th around the stairs and allow room for one stroller or one wheelchair to go around those two steps without going into traffic. So it's super, super conceptual, basically a screenshot of the Google Street View of the intersection with some like red lines somebody put on it. I did volunteer to go talk to the owner of the food pods, who is at odds with PBOT, maybe is a nice way to put it, and was able to get a very kind of reluctant, like, I won't kill this project from him. And have created an email chain with both him and PBOT that is more or less hopefully going to not have him oppose it so much it kills it. And PBOT's going to start trying to design it, I believe. So it's going to be funded using PSEF dollars, and they think they're going to spend $100,000 on it, and they got money set aside for it. So it's like music to my ears hearing that. And that was news from like the last week, Moses, since I talked to you last. That's all I got.
You rock, sir.
Well,
You
there's
rock.
more. There's one other thing, but let me just check in with you here. There's a lot of movement on the crosswalk on 45th between Gabriel Park and the bottom of that church at the bottom of the hill there. If you know, there's a cut through trail that takes you from Gabriel Park by the little baseball field to the Maplewood Village. I believe Southwest Trails finally got an easement from the church on the Maplewood side of 45th to actually allow a true path through that church property into the neighborhood. And so that was the last piece that PBOT wanted to see before they actually put in a real crosswalk. So there's a lot of movement at that front, and you'll probably see a real crosswalk there. Don wants us to support him by writing an email about some signage in the park, writing a letter about signage in the park, which I'll draft up. Moses, I can just have that come from the transportation committee without like everybody voting on it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to run it by this group real quick. If anybody sees an issue with that, I just gotta like try to do favors for Don Bach because we need him backing us when it's time, and I think we're working in that direction. So,
Are we talking about that one section where that woman got hit on 45th?
I'm not sure. Oh, we're getting some echo over there.
There we go.
It's basically north of between the Chevron station and the indoor pool and the rec center. So you like go down the hill from the Chevron station, kind of right at the bottom of the hill, right when it starts becoming flat. There is a trail that takes you into Maplewood that lets you bypass like walking down Multnomah Boulevard.
That that's been a problem area. A woman got hit there a couple years back and died.
Wow.
There was no sidewalk. There was no pedestrian crossing defined. So the fact that it's finally getting done, Stefan, is huge.
Yeah. So some positive movement. So that's the highlights.
Hey, Stefan, I'm curious why I'm not seeing you riding a bike bus with Justin Timberlake in our neighborhood. How come I have to see that?
I know.
It's like negative right now. My experience right now on your
I
bike
know.
bus, lack of
I
bike
know.
bus in Timberlake.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to get I don't know. We have to get someone more famous, I guess, now.
Taylor Swift.
I see your.
Yeah.
If you get Taylor Swift, I'll be there. Peter, you're up. I see your hand up, Peter.
Yeah, Stefan, I wondered if the movement on the intersection, the project at 35th and Multnomah, is that in any way an outgrowth of the meeting we had with Commissioner Clark and her staff guy?
I'm not sure.
Excuse me?
I'm not sure. I kind of asked around, and I think it's a lot of it, I think, is just the slow motion movement from when we sent in those letters. Honestly, that was October of 2023 that we had our Multnomah Transportation Open House. And then, maybe about a year ago, we put in the letters and they finally got through the system. And I actually was able to have a meeting with Denver, who is a PBOT guy who's high up in planning, who lives in our neighborhood, because I see him running all the time. He jogs through that intersection all the time because I see him when I drop my kids off. And I had a meeting with him there, and he's like, yeah, this intersection is brutal. And I asked him, so how does like Scott Cohen, the guy who's going to deliver this project, who tells him which projects like get selected? Because I need to find out so I can like ask that person, beg that person. He's like, it's me. I'm like, oh wow. So I think there's just been a lot of things. I've set up a ton of meetings with people, and it just has gone slow. And I think it's finally matured to basically someone putting a line item in a budget spreadsheet. I think that's like the biggest hurdle we can get to.
Well, and I think also too, Stephanie, it goes to your persistence in keeping this on their radar.
Yeah.
So we must tip our hats to your persistence as well.
Thank you. Well, there's a lot to go between getting the engineering done and getting a project put in the ground. So many hurdles to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Stefan.
Very cool. Very, very cool. God, I love it when a plan comes in action. Oh, this is thrilling. Okay. That was the last committee report. And public safety. Oh my goodness.
Public safety.
I'm so used to not having a public safety report. We have a public safety committee report.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sanjuro. I'm the new public safety chair. I did submit a report for Google Drive, so it is there. I'm not going to expand too much on that. I did go to a couple events. One of them was the Multnomah Net meeting, and another one was the traffic safety event. So I was glad I got to those. And yeah, as you know, I am looking for members of the committee. So if you're interested, let me know. Thanks.
Very cool. We have a public safety committee. I think, yay. I mean, we've had one, but we have a revitalized one, or we have a new one again. This is what I'm trying to say. Let's wrap up here by saying that, here, let me turn the camera around over to me. Let's wrap up here by saying that in our next meeting, we know for sure that our city commission, councilor Mitch Green will be our guest speaker. So we're going to be devoting a little bit of time. We're going to be giving him time to pitch his priorities, and along with Stefan and the transportation and the sidewalk issue. I don't think if there are other issues that we need to talk about in May's meeting, let me know and I'll make sure to include them on the agenda. we'll certainly be giving updates on all the activities for the Little Free Library, for the Solve, and for Sunday Parkways that will be coming up later on that month in May. Am I missing anything? Those are the big three coming up. I know that. You've got your bulky event, Julie. Yeah, in May. Village Park. Oh my goodness, Village Park concerts. Of course, Corinne. Thank you. And I know that that's another ongoing project, the Village Park. I know that Peter has been working on that one. We'll get a better update in May on activity at Village Park. So if there's things for next month's agenda, just give me notice, send me an email at president@mnapdx.org. Otherwise, I would take a motion to adjourn. I think Julie just gave me a motion to adjourn. I do want to thank everybody. What a very satisfying meeting we've had tonight. It's good to hear from these different projects and to see and hear of the progress that we are making. Go get them, team. Let's keep it going. All right. Thank you all very much. And we'll see you next month.